Huwag ka mag-alala. Gagawa ko ng paraan.
For many Filipinos, they are too afraid to admit themselves or their loved ones to hospitals because they do not have sufficient money to pay for the bills or to buy medicines. However, they are not aware that every citizen of the country is covered by the PhilHealth's National Health Insurance Program. This program provides health insurance coverage and ensures affordable, acceptable, available and accessible healthcare services for all Filipinos. It shall also serve as the means for the healthy to help pay for the care of the sick and for those who can afford medical care to subsidize those who can't.
Magkano kaya ang magagastos namin kung sakaling may admit namin ngayon si JJ?
May health card na po ba sila?
Opo, meron. Sponsored member po kami ng PhilHealth.
Mrs., wala na kayong dapat ipag-alala. Dahil sponsored member naman sila, sagot na ng PhilHealth lahat ng gastusin niya.
Now, with the no-balance billing policy of PhilHealth, wherein sponsored members or those whose healthcare insurance is paid for by the government do not have to pay anything should their medical expenses at a PhilHealth accredited hospital exceed the amount specified for their condition under PhilHealth's case rates. If this is the case, what other services is a PhilHealth member entitled to? How can the member avail of these services as well as reimbursements for their healthcare needs? If a person is not yet a member of PhilHealth, how can they apply for membership? Good evening. You are watching Legal Help Desk on the Solar News channel. This show is about making the law work for you by giving legal advice on topics that matter to you. I'm Attorney Karen Jimeno.
And I'm Attorney Nepomuceno. Tonight, we will discuss your legal rights on PhilHealth, what you need to know about becoming a member and the benefits you can get from it. We'll be discussing this and more with a representative from PhilHealth.
Our guests for tonight are Dr. Israel Pargas of PhilHealth, Vice President of Corporate Affairs and spokesperson for PhilHealth, and former Representative Lorenzo Tañada III, co-author of RA 10606, also known as the National Health Insurance Act of 2013. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening,
gentlemen.
Good evening.
Yes. Dr. Ish. This is a very important topic, as we all know. In fact, in the US, this becomes a central topic, diba?
Yeah. Because
National
they've
health
been
insurance
all debating about Obamacare, and I guess the question is for us, as Filipinos, do we have enough health insurance coverage that is not privately provided, meaning na galing sa government, available to all?
Well, if we go by the history of the healthcare that the government provides, it started with Medicare, and it evolved itself. As a matter of fact, the National Health Insurance law that we had went through amendments.
Several amendments.
Several amendments.
I understand there were three,
yes,
three steps?
Three steps. And we feel that with the last amendment, it would give life really to the constitutional provision on Article 13, Section 11, providing health care benefits to all. And I'm happy that we have a president in the PhilHealth who's very active in making or ensuring that even the indigents, those who are with the informal sector, not necessarily working, but or employed, but self-employed, are also covered by the insurance.
Yeah, because the general impression is that you need to be either employed or parang voluntary contributor ka, di ba?
Yes.
So, Dr. Ish, that's not the case anymore, no? With
yes.
the new
Right now, really,
rules.
it's mandatory or compulsory for every Filipino to be a member. Actually, our vision is bawat Filipino miyembro. So that really translates into making every Filipino a member. And regarding the government's action for this, it is so nice that currently with the new law, the RA 10606, the law provides that the national government actually will enroll for the indigents. They will actually provide for the premium subsidy. Unlike before, when the sponsored program will be subsidized by the local government or any private institution for that matter. However, you have to go through negotiations if they will have the budget to actually sponsor indigent members. But currently, under the new law, The indigent program will be subsidized purely by the national government for the premium contribution. And so that's really
So
nice.
this
But
is over
Dr.
and
Ish,
above.
I'm trying to visualize this. How can indigents be automatically covered by PhilHealth? Does the government have records of all our indigents and then they pay
Kasi,
premiums
baka
for
wala.
them?
Well, even
Is
the
there-
current law now provides that the Department of Social Welfare and Development would actually look for these indigent members. They are using this means testing, and all these identified indigents would be under the National Housing Targeting System,
Yes.
poverty reduction. Actually, the beauty about it is last year, they were actually 5.2 million families identified. This year, they are increasing that to 14.7 million, and the government is actually paying for the premium contribution for that.
It's part of the 4Ps program of the government, no? The conditional cash
Yes.
transfer. That's how they identify the beneficiaries who do not have the money to pay for the premium. So this is where the national government comes in. And I would like to say that this universal health care that was enacted into law was part of the SONA of the president. It was the very first, part of his very first SONA that he wanted to provide universal health care to everyone. And we're happy to say at least this is one of the legacy bills that...
Now, just to get into the crux, before we get into the crux of how to go about being a member and all that. I mean, is this fiscally practicable? I mean, can we really support covering the insurance, the health insurance of everyone? I mean, where are we going to get the funds?
Well, outside of the national budget, no, which covers, of course, those that cannot afford to pay, we have the sin taxes, which specifically earmark that whatever is raised there would be used for healthcare needs. And so it is not only from the national budget that we're also getting. It's also, of course, from those that are employed, no, in private companies. If we follow strictly also the Kasambahay law, it is the employer of households. If the salaries of the Kasambahay is above a certain amount, then both the Kasambahay and the employer,
I think it's 5,000
yes,
pesos if you're
contribute.
in Metro Manila.
It's less. It's purely shouldered by the employer.
And since we're talking about compulsory, especially including the kasambahays, which I'm not sure if a lot of people are now implementing if they've covered their kasambahay sa PhilHealth, what are the penalties if you do not, because you said compulsory coverage, diba? If I'm self-employed and I don't automatically, or I don't enroll myself to PhilHealth, what are the consequences? And for those employers who do not cover their employees with PhilHealth, what are the penalties?
Well, basically for the self-employed or the individually paying for that matter for us, the first penalty is really you won't be able to get any benefits from PhilHealth. Because currently the general rule is you have to have 3 months of contribution paid within 6 months prior to confinement. So if you're not an active member, if you don't have currently that general rule, then you won't be able to get any
So you can skip
reimbursement.
pala. So in other words, it's not like the last 3 months but you were contributing.
Yeah, because
within
it's within the 6 months.
Within the
You
6
should
months
have
before
3 months.
confinement.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Well, for the employed sector right now, because the employees, the premium is automatically deducted, they should not actually suffer from the non-remittance of contribution by the employees, by the employers. However, yeah, we have a penalty, 2% monthly for those who are not contributing or remitting the employers and employees' contribution. And at the same time, we actually charge for whatever reimbursement that we provide the member or the employee. We actually charge also that to the employer.
Okay, so that
Oh,
should
okay.
be a warning to all
Right.
people who have not covered their kasambahays under PhilHealth.
Yeah.
You have to pay either 2% charge and then kasama pa yung reimbursements.
All right, let's talk about, I understand under the law, yun nga, what we call the informal business people, right? The entrepreneurs, the hawkers, the fishbowl vendor and all that. These are covered as well, right?
Yes.
Now, but these people who are doing, conducting business, selling and selling their stuff in let's say in the roads, they are not considered indigents. They will be required to file for membership. Is that how?
Well,
it works?
if they will not be covered under the indigency program, because they will not pass the means testing of the DSWD, then they should be enrolling in the PhilHealth under our informal economy. Under the informal economy, the current contribution is 200 monthly, but the premium payment contribution is quarterly, semi-annually, or annually. Okay. Another thing is, if they will not be able to be under the indigent program, they can still be part of the sponsored program. The sponsored program now will be the payer of the premium contribution could either be the local government, could either be legislators, could either be any private institution, foundation, or any other individual. So under the sponsorship program, really someone is paying for your own contribution.
I think we have a caller. That's it. We have a caller online, and her name is Arlene. Arlene, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
Yes,
what is your question?
Yeah, I have basically two questions. One is, I was a former and unemployed. Bale, I was contributing sa PhilHealth as an individual member. And I paid for the whole year, so covering until this year. But then again, I was already employed the past 3 months. My employer is also contributing for my yung the usual employer-employee contribution. So my question is, what will happen to the first year that I paid, na fully paid na?
Well, the Arlene, no? Good evening. The contribution that you have already paid under the individually paying program will not be lost. However, under the law, because under the law, under labor laws, I think it's automatic that you should be deducted with your premium contribution together with the employer. So what will happen later on is we will actually effect those premium contributions na nag-double up or nag-mix in due time when you don't have any employment anymore, or in due time when you don't have any active contribution with PhilHealth. Para magagamit din siya for the next time.
For the next one.
Yes, but there's no refund.
Okay. So PhilHealth has to keep those amounts for future application.
All right, all right. Okay, we have a question naman from our viewer.
Related to the
I'm sorry, Arlene?
Yes, sir.
You have a second question?
Yes, related to that.
Sorry.
There's a pending increase of a PhilHealth, right? The contribution.
Yes.
Will also that affect what yung first full payment that I paid?
No. Actually, the full implementation already started this January. And no, whatever you have paid already, there's no more add up or add on later on because nag-increase kami. Prospective naman po ang increase namin.
I see. All right.
Yes, thank you very much for that.
All right, thank you, Arlene.
Thank you,
Thanks very much. And now we have a question, I believe, from our viewer, Dexter. And I read, I'm a freelancer and would like to apply for PhilHealth. How can I do so? What are the requirements and how much per month should I contribute? Is the contribution per month, per quarter, 6 months, or per year? So
Dexter, good evening. That's one very good news actually with PhilHealth. With the new law, of which, Kong Erin was part of, we actually relaxed the requirements with membership. Yes. Before, we were asking a lot of documents. Right now, you just only have to fill in the PMRF or the PhilHealth member registration form with all the information, and then write also if you have any qualified dependents, and then you sign and certify for the truthfulness. And then you just give that to any PhilHealth office, which is in our office or even in the malls. And then they will process it, will give you the PhilHealth number, and you can actually pay already premium contribution. Since you are a freelancer under the self-employed informal economy, you're going to pay 600 as a quarter premium, or 1,002 or 2,400 for a year.
Yeah. 2,400
for a
full
year.
Payment for the whole year.
So it's like 200 a month.
It's really 200 a month, but you're paying for if you actually have a family already. Because under your principal membership, qualified dependents could either be your spouse, your parents who are 60 years old and above, and all your children who are 20 years old and below.
Yeah, so it covers a lot.
Yeah,
it covers a lot.
even parents,
Yeah.
even senior citizen parents.
Right.
Our next question is from Carmel.
Carmel.
I am recently married and am now using my husband's surname, but all of my IDs, like in PhilHealth, are still under my maiden name. Can I still use this, or will there be complications later on when I use it? Actually, pareho kami ni Carmen. Everything is under my
Maybe this was
maiden
you.
name.
You wrote this question.
So I am also asking this question, like Carmen.
Well, again, you can use our PhilHealth member registration form. That's really an updating of information.
Yes.
So what you actually need is really just to fill it in and then provide any changes and give it to PhilHealth so that we can actually update your records.
And you said that they could go to the malls?
Yeah, because we
some
now
of them?
have what you call PhilHealth Express,
Okay.
and they are found in the malls mostly, well, the biggest malls here.
Okay. But for those people who do not want to change their name, will that cause complications?
Because later on, if you will declare any of your dependents, there will be some complications because if they are actually getting the name of the husband,
yes.
then we will actually be asking questions why there are differences.
Okay. So it
Tokish,
helps to
don't
change.
you ask for a copy of the marriage certificate?
Well, for the updating
For the
currently,
updating,
yes, we
yes.
do ask. But generally, when you apply, when there's no complication, as we say, we don't ask anymore for any documentary requirements.
Okay.
I see. All right.
And then we have another caller
Oh, you have another
online.
caller. All right.
This is Eleanor. We have another caller. Hi, Eleanor.
Hi, good evening.
Yes,
Yes,
good evening.
I'm separated from my husband, and I'm now forced to file for an application with PhilHealth. However, I cannot file one with my son as a dependent because my husband already declared him. So when I asked the PhilHealth, what can I do, they told me to ask my husband to file an omission of our son as his dependent. Kasi he's not cooperating with me. In fact, my husband doesn't support us since our separation. That's why I was forced to apply for membership. How should I go on about this?
All right. So,
Well,
quite a
currently, Eleanor, Happy New Year. Well, currently, really the rules is just you can actually declare a dependent from only one person.
one spouse.
If
someone already claimed
and declared the child or the children under his dependency, then that will be it as per record. And if you're actually shifting to another, for example, to the wife, then really there's a need for an omission. So that there will be only one declaration of dependent.
Doc, how complicated is that process? Because for changing of name, you just file this document to correct the records. But for shifting the dependents, what type of documents does Eleanor have to file?
Again, it's just the PMRF, the PhilHealth member registration form, updating, omitting the name of the child under the declaration, and then another PMRF for the wife now to add this particular child to her dependency. So really, it's just one form, the PMRF, which will be used for updating of your membership.
Okay, but there has to be a formal declaration of custody or legal separation, not necessarily.
Not necessarily. As long as the children or the child is declared as a beneficiary, then it's okay. What I think Eleanor should do is monitor whether the husband is paying.
Correct.
Paying the premiums that is needed to cover the benefit of the child.
Actually, if they are still married, she's technically considered as a dependent still, as a legal wife.
Okay.
Yes.
So it doesn't hurt to have all of these
Yes,
coverages.
yes.
Get one for yourself, tapos dependent ka pa ng
but
husband.
when we need to take a short break, but when we come back, I'm going to ask about the dependents that they can have under your PhilHealth account. So we still have a lot to discuss with our guests here. Legal Help Desk will return after these messages. Don't go away.
You're still watching Legal Help Desk on the Solar News Channel. And we are still joined by our guests, Dr. Israel Pargas and Representative Erin Tañada III.
Ayan. Okay, just before the break, we were talking about the dependents. I wanted to ask you, under the new law or the new amendments, who are the dependents I can claim?
Actually, with the new law, the dependency is already expanded. So we have the legal wife.
Okay.
We have parents who are 60 years old and above who are not yet members of PhilHealth, not a retiree, not a pensioner. Right now, we extended that also to parents who are even less than 60 years old, but they have this total permanent disability. And you can declare them actually already now as a dependent.
Okay.
We do have now 20 years old and below children who are unmarried and unemployed.
Unemployed, okay.
And we have also expanded that to even 21 years old and above, but again with total permanent disability. So they are actually totally dependent to you and to the principal member. And aside from the legitimate children, illegitimate, and adopted stepchildren, abandoned. We now have included also foster child.
Really?
Foster
even
child,
if not
as dependent.
As dependent, you can actually declare them as a dependent.
Okay,
now
okay.
also.
So it doesn't have to be formally adopted. I mean, someone that I took on and I guess took care of.
For the adopted child or children, there has to be legal documents for the adoption. For the foster child, there is a document, I think, being issued by the DSWD for this.
All right. Just a quick question regarding parents. So if they have to be, they have a means of income, or let's say that they're still earning well, they're still productive. Can we claim them as dependents? No.
Well, if your parents are actually still working
at 60,
they're compulsory
compulsory members.
Yes.
And for those naman parents who are 60 years old and above but are still earning actually, they should be having their own membership.
They're not
so basta yung
dependents.
important would be if they're not over 60 would be permanent total disability.
Yes,
but
totally dependent.
Basta over 60 sila, they can claim, they can apply for membership.
They can
still, because they don't have,
if they're active, they're working.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Another development, one of the new developments under PhilHealth is the no balance billing policy.
Yes.
What is this?
The no balance billing policy is a financial protection which we actually came out actually in 2011 together with the change of reimbursement mechanism. The no balance billing means that the sponsored members, because the covered program members here are the sponsored members or the indigent members, it means that they should not and will not be anymore paying anything above what PhilHealth is paying as a reimbursement, meaning the hospital or even the doctors cannot actually charge anymore to the indigent or sponsored members. However, there are conditions. Again, they should be indigent or sponsored members. They should be admitted in government facilities and in service accommodations.
I see. Okay.
So it's really 100% financial protection provision to our medyo mahihirap na kababayan.
I just remembered before we started the show, diba, yung umpisa natin, we had, part of it was the infomercial of PhilHealth, which showed that nung magbabayad na ng bills, wala nang kailangang bayaran.
Yes.
So this is actually an accurate portrayal of what benefits PhilHealth provides if you undergo medical care, if it's a government or public hospital.
You have to also make it clear that they have to be indigents.
Yes.
Okay.
As long as they're indigents and they're sponsored by the government, then they don't need to pay anything in a government.
Okay, so if you're an active member, you're contributing, may limits yung coverage ng PhilHealth.
Yes, we came out with packages right now.
The
in
case
2014, we started with case rates. So meaning for any procedure or any medical illness, there's a package rate right now. For example, there's a need for you to undergo a
kunwari, pregnancy. So, childbirth, cesarean.
Cesarean is at 19,000.
Oh, 19,000.
As a package. Normal spontaneous delivery, these are the normal deliveries in hospitals. This is at 6,500. And the maternity care, this is the delivery in maternity clinics, birthing homes, that's 8,000.
So on top of, you can reimburse that from PhilHealth, even if you can't afford to pay for the whole procedure.
Well, actually, the real intent is automatic deduction. Once you go out of the hospital, the benefit should be deducted.
Yes.
Okay, so our viewers should take note of that. When they go to the hospitals and see their bills, if they're covered by PhilHealth, they should ask for the deduction, even if it's a private hospital?
Yes. And the highest package payment right now that we have is actually 600,000 as a benefit package. That's for kidney transplant. and 550,000 for a bypass graft surgery.
Okay.
That's very
great.
helpful,
That's great.
helpful
All right.
information.
No, kasi, for example, of course, all of us are not immune. Like there are family members. In my case, if I'm hospitalized or if someone is hospitalized, the first thing I do fill up is the PhilHealth form. There's a Form 1 and a Form 2 that we need to go through. No? I want to talk about the sponsorship program. With this sponsorship program, is there really a need for people to enroll or to go through membership? And how do they know if they're sponsored?
Well, under the sponsorship program, presumably there will be those who are actually left out from the indigency program. With the 14.7 million, if one family could either have like 3 dependents, that's roughly around 40 to 50 million Filipinos already. Okay. So the sponsorship program would actually, those who are fallouts from the indigent program, they can actually go to their local government unit if they feel that they don't have any money to pay for their own premium contribution, and then hopefully the sponsoring agency, the local government, can actually sponsor for them. Okay. How do they know? Well, we provide actually the cards, and we give them the PhilHealth card, and also there's always a list coming from the Department of Social Welfare and Development, and so this is known to the community who are actually members under the indigency or even the sponsorship program.
Before the law was passed, they would always say that it was a very political exercise, that it all depended on the congressman or the mayor, whoever would be enrolled under that sponsorship program. But with the law as it is right now, everyone is covered. And so what you have just to check, of course, is whether you are identified with the DSWD.
So either you're indigent or you can be sponsored.
Yes.
And we have another strategy right now. If still there are fallouts from this listing, we do have the point of care. Point of care strategy is when an indigent member goes into a hospital and not yet a PhilHealth member, and if they are assessed to be indigent, then they are actually enrolled right there and then, and they can get the benefits also during that particular confinement.
I see. Okay.
But for ordinary people who are not indigents and they're covered, how can they check their status? Is there an online?
Well, yes, we do have. They can check through www.philhealth.gov.ph, then the contribution history. So they can actually see also if their employers, for example, are actually remitting.
And if it's not, if their employers have not remitted, how can they complain or report this to PhilHealth?
We encourage that, actually. We do have Action Center at philhealth.gov.ph. They can call us our call center, 441-7442, and actually report to us. And then we will do the necessary and appropriate action for
That's why it's very important, their ID number. Because
that sticks with them.
It sticks with them.
Even if they're indigent, they'll have that ID number,
yes,
right?
And that's a unique ID.
Okay, all right. Now we were talking about earlier. Now Karen made the example of pregnant woman. There is an exemption regarding delivery, di ba? There is something in the law regarding making sure that a pregnant woman, whoever, regardless of any contribution, will be given free delivery.
Yes, that's because currently also under the law, it was specified that any woman about to give birth should actually be enrolled to PhilHealth. And if they are found to be, again, indigent, but they are not currently members still, then they should be enrolled as a member, and the government shall pay for that, for the premium subsidy, and they will have to get the benefits for that matter.
And they will not have a cash out.
Yes, yes, because they are considered indigent
so
under the no balance billing.
So we can say there that no woman out there will have to pay to.
But again, make sure that they are in the government.
In the government
facility.
office.
Yes, government facility.
As long as they're in a government facility, they don't have to pay anything to deliver a child. Wow, wonderful. Huh? That's great. Fantastic. All right, we still have some questions from our viewers. Let's start answering them, starting with Angelo. I was hospitalized last June and I was about to pay my bills and use my PhilHealth, but found out that I'm not enrolled. I've been working for a year with my present employer and deductions were made to my salary, but the company didn't give my contributions to PhilHealth. Can I sue my company for damages? What can I do with regards to my contributions with PhilHealth? Should I apply for membership?
Well, for PhilHealth, you should not actually apply because the employer should actually report you as an employee. So what you can do right now is provide us with the information, and we will go actually after your employer together with all the necessary penalties and sanctions. What you can do with your claim, because I think you were not able to claim anything, is you can actually file to PhilHealth, again with the Form 1, Form 2, which you will ask from the hospital, and provide us with the necessary, if you still have the pay slip, so that we can actually know that you are actually an employee, because currently you said you are not in the history. So probably you're not declared as an employee to us. So at least provide us the proof that you have been deducted by your employer, and then we can process the claim.
So even if the employer did not enroll him, there's no need for him to enroll separately. You'll just enroll him as an employee.
Yes.
Okay. That's good to know. At
Let-
least less hassle for
Angelo.
Angelo.
This is fantastic. This is great law. All right.
Our next question is from Julie Ann, and she asks, I am presently pregnant with my second child. Can I claim for a PhilHealth maternity benefit? I didn't have a membership with PhilHealth when I was pregnant with my first child. I plan on paying for the whole year, but will that cover my expenses? I asked an accountant friend, and she said the maternity benefit is only applicable to the first child. Is this true?
No, it's not true.
Okay.
Because
The accountant was wrong.
Well, no, misinformed.
Misinformed, probably.
Okay.
Currently, we cover up to the 4th on normal delivery, but we are actually considering to remove the limitations.
The limitation.
For the cesarean section, if you can go for a 10 cesarean sections, those are actually covered by PhilHealth currently.
So, Attorney Eri, you're smiling. Pang ilan? If it's cesarean, how many children are covered?
No, well,
Is there
no
a
limitation.
No limit.
No limit as
No
well.
limit.
Ah, okay.
Pag cesarean, no limit.
No limit.
Oh, no limit.
Alright.
And you can
So,
actually
may
pay-
limit yung normal delivery.
Sa ngayon, meron. Yeah, we
But
do
you're trying
have
to
at the
remove that.
That's
Yeah.
odd,
Yeah.
Parang
Yeah.
baliktad naman sa... No, not naman balik, but sa labor laws, parang... I'm
Cesarean
trying
is
to
more-
remember.
Yes.
Cesarean
Complex.
yung may limit,
may
diba?
limit. Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
for PhilHealth baliktad, ang normal delivery yung may limit, cesarean wala.
Well, but again, as I've said, we're trying to study now to remove the limitation because even the law would say that any pregnant women should actually get the
Why discriminate?
Lalo maraming mga mabubuntisin. And now it's for free. So,
But you can actually pay for your contribution. The general rule, again, is 3 months within 6 months. So if you're actually going to deliver by April, you should actually pay for your first quarter and for the whole year.
Well, the innovation that's the beauty now of the law itself is that even if you're not a member and you're going to avail of the services of PhilHealth, you can pay to become a member. You don't need to pay for 3 successive months. You pay for the whole year and you're covered.
Oh, okay. But Congressman Erin, is this retroactive? Meaning, if I already have the procedure done, kunwari an operation for appendectomy, appendicitis, and then, pero hindi ako covered that time, and if I pay my premiums, I cannot be covered for the past procedure.
It
It has to be
prospective.
Prospective,
yeah.
All right. Our next question is from Eileen. Now, with regards to the interpretation of the PhilHealth law regarding prenatal checkups for pregnant women, what is the proper interpretation for this provision for pregnant women to avail the benefits of PhilHealth?
Well, for the prenatal, normally it starts with the first trimester, and you are required to at least have 3 out of the 4 prenatal checkups. And these are actually part of the maternity care package that we provide. So that's actually an 8,000 package. And incidentally, together with the maternity care is a newborn care package. The newborn care package includes also of course the provision of the BCG vaccine, first dose of the Hepa B, and of course the cord clamp and all. So that's part. Newborn hearing and newborn screening. So that's a package also. So with regard to that, we require at least 3 of the 4 prenatal checkups currently.
Fantastic. All right. All right. We have another caller, and his name is Michael. Michael, hello.
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Michael. What is your question?
My question is this. I'm a British national. I'm a resident in the Philippines since 2011 as my wife passed away, leaving us a son. I recently got remarried, My wife at that time has a little girl, and we recently had another little girl. When my wife applied for full membership of PhilHealth for the family, they told us at the office that my son could not be part of the PhilHealth because he had a different mother. Is that the case?
Well, I think by virtue of marriage, your child actually became a stepchild already, which is actually considered as a qualified dependent.
Qualified dependent. Okay.
So the thing is, you have to present the marriage contract in order for us to consider that the child is already a stepchild.
Sorry, Michael, were you asking something else?
I can't hear you very well.
Oh, okay. Okay, can you repeat that, Dr. Ish?
Well, we have attorneys here. I think by virtue of marriage, your child actually also became a stepchild of the second wife. And currently under the law, the stepchild is already a qualified dependent.
Under the new law?
Even before.
I'll clarify this with Representative Erin, because under our law, if you marry someone else, and this child is not your biological son or daughter, you have to legally adopt that child to become the stepmother or stepfather of that child. So, but for PhilHealth, is that a formal requirement?
No, it's considered as a foster child. No, it's not. To be covered by PhilHealth.
Okay, so for PhilHealth purposes, this child can be covered as a dependent.
Considered a stepchild. And so what does Michael need to do?
Well, provide for the marriage contract.
Marriage contract, all right. And have an amendment in the member...
In the PMRF or PhilHealth member registration form.
There you go. I hope we answered your question, Michael.
Thank you very much indeed. That was very helpful.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, another question from Facebook, Natividad is asking, my husband is a member of Medicare for 14 years. Does this automatically make him a member of PhilHealth? Since he resigned from his work, he was not paying it anymore. While he will he still be covered by PhilHealth?
Well, he can still be covered by PhilHealth if, for example, he is actually 60 years old and retired, and with at least 120 months or 10 years of contribution, because that's another program, membership sector of PhilHealth, which is what we call the lifetime member program. You are at the age of retiree, and you have paid at least 10 years or 120 months. So I guess he was able to pay 14 years. If he actually retired, then he can apply for that. But if not, he should be actually reapply to become a member of PhilHealth. If right now he's currently employed, then he may be, the previous number should be given to the new employer so that the premium contributions can actually go to one account only. And if not, then the previous number, if he can actually join now under the informal economy as a self-employed or individually paying, he should be using the same number so that the premium contributions again should go into a account.
Okay, all right. So there's no age limit, no?
There's no age limit.
So my father's 86 and my mom was 82.
Yes.
They can apply anytime.
Yes. And if actually the spouse is a member, then she can actually declare the husband as a dependent.
Okay.
Nagka-lapse ba yung previous payments of premiums?
No.
So
even in Medicare?
Yeah, even yung Medicare,
Carried over.
kasama siya sa bilangan ng 10 years or 120 months of contribution.
Okay. So for instance, for him, he doesn't have to reapply or be a dependent of someone else because he's been paying premiums for the past 14 years.
Well, if he's actually, again, as I've said, retired or 60 years old, then he can be lifetime. Otherwise, he should be either declared as a dependent or, again, reapply into PhilHealth using the old number and pay contributions.
I was just going to add, because if he was in Medicare, he has to get the new ID of the PhilHealth because the
numbers are different.
New ID.
Yes.
And the number will be different.
Yes. Because previously we were using GSIS.
Yes.
All right. That's right. Okay.
Sobrang interesting topic, Sai. The time is running out quickly. We'll take another break, but before that, we'd like to thank our guest, Dr. Israel Pargas, Vice President of Corporate Affairs and spokesperson for PhilHealth, and former Representative Lorenzo Tañada III, co-author of Republic Act 10606, also known as the National Health Insurance Act of 2013. Legal Help Desk will return after this short break.
Good work. According to Section 10 of Republic Act Number 10606, otherwise known as the National Health Insurance Act of 2013, members and their dependents are entitled to the following minimum services. For inpatient hospital care, room and board, services of healthcare professionals, diagnostic, laboratory, and other medical examination services, use of surgical or medical equipment and facilities, prescription drugs and biologicals, education packages. For outpatient care, services of healthcare professionals, diagnostic, laboratory, and other medical examination services, personal preventive services, and prescription drugs and biologicals. Emergency and transfer services are also included, as well as other services that both PhilHealth, DOH, and the healthcare facility will determine as appropriate and cost-effective.
You're still watching Legal Help Desk on the Solar News channel. And of course, we had a very interesting topic. And there are some
one of my favorite topics, actually.
Yeah, there's some things that we have to highlight. And one that I want to impart to our viewers is if you are entitled to some benefits. One is, kunwari, na-hospitalize ka and then you were confined. Please, to our viewers out there, don't forget that there's a timeline for you to claim reimbursement. So for those who are hospitalized, you have to claim reimbursement within 60 days after discharge, or else you lose your right to claim reimbursement.
Yeah, and just to point out also, PhilHealth is actually, well, one way to lessen your cost, medical costs, is reimbursement. But more often than not, especially if you're in a government hospital, it's actually automatically deducted. In fact, most of the time, or if not all the time, when you go to a government hospital, you shouldn't be paying anything, lalo na if it's pregnancy and you deliver a child. No? Ako personally, suki ako sa PhilHealth. I mean, of course, I have family members who get confined, and that's the first thing
that you go to PhilHealth.
I ask the nurse right away, where's the PhilHealth form? Kasi the savings are big.
Ako naman, that's why I'm emphasizing the time that you have to claim your benefits. Yeah. Because kami naman baliktad, sobrang namin nakakalimutan. And every time we try to, the times that I've looked at to claim reimbursement, wala na, tapos na yung 60 days. So, it's very important. You do it within that time period. Although, sabi kanina ni Dr. Ish na, if there's a good reason for it, you can ask for reconsideration if you claim your benefits beyond 60 days from the discharge, as long as there's a good reason for the delay.
I mean, there are some things you wish, like for example, if you gave your ID number and then your data record is already there. Because what happens is sometimes you have to fill up again, fill up the form again, and sometimes it is tedious. But if you weigh the pros and cons, the savings you get, sometimes you get,
really,
lalo if you're in a private hospital, the savings you get around 20-30%.
That's really great.
Yeah,
considering the premiums are only small. That's one thing we have to highlight, because a lot of people think PhilHealth, the gastos, but the premiums are just 2,400 pesos per year. At least you get a lot of benefits. And
you can pay that staggered pa. Sometimes you can pay that quarterly. Like if you're self-employed, it's only 600 per quarter. And also, we have to remind you, it's universal. Universal. Everyone is covered under the law. So there's no excuse.
Yes. So, and also, I have to remind people, if you have kasambahays, you have to make sure na covered din sa PhilHealth yung mga kasambahay ninyo. And kanina nga, like what Dr. Ish mentioned, na if you're an employer and you don't cover your employees, kasama na dyan yung kasambahays, then you can be held liable to pay for a 2% charge of the premiums. Plus, you might be required to pay for the reimbursements of the hospital expenses. So it's important.
Important. The kasambahays, please don't forget your kasambahays. Very, very important for them especially. Now, we have received some questions from our viewers on topics we tackled before. This is where we answer them and at the same time give a recap for the benefit of our viewers. Let's start off with Aisen Lee, who sent us this question via Facebook. I once heard about this term called fair use and said it is a component of the United States copyright law. I'd like to know if we have similar laws here in our country, and how does it define on its own compared to that of the U.S.? Well, our copyright law is based, most of it is based from U.S. copyright law. And fair use kasi is an exception. It's an exception to the standard rule. The standard rule is that if you have creative work, you alone have the exclusive right to that creative work. And fair use is a policy or a principle wherein they allow certain uses of copyrighted work. Like for example, if I'm quoting news, whenever we're reporting news, we have to comment, we have to quote certain copyrighted works. That's fine. That's why they call it fair use. It's allowed to be used.
Or for instance, if you're only reading a book to yourself or to your friends, quoting someone, that can be covered under fair use. So we have the same principle.
Right.
Okay. We have another question from Rafael, and he's asking, my wife cheated on me and now has a boyfriend. We have 4 children together, one of which is already above 7 years old. I have custody of my children and my wife sees them a few times a month. If I were to file for an annulment, who would have custody of the children? What are the requirements needed for me to have full and legal custody of my children? From what I know, children under the age of 7 are under the custody of the mother by default. Can this change be based on the fact that my wife cheated on me?
Okay.
So, ang dami niyang questions.
Huh?
But one is, first question niya would be, if he can have custody of the children if he files for annulment. And he's correct that if a child is under 7, the presumption is that it's not really that the default it's going to be with the mom, the custody. It's basically the default is that there's a presumption that it is for the best interest of the child to be with the mother. But in this case, when you file an annulment and you ask for custody of the child as one of the also reliefs as part of the annulment procedure, then you could allege that it's not in the best interest of the children to be with the mother, including the children that are under 7. And he can also mention the fact that the mother has a relationship with another man already.
Yeah. So I guess it depends on a lot of these things, a lot of these cases. It depends on the situation, and the court will take it into consideration. Just wanted to point out also that if your wife cheated on you, it's not a basis for annulment.
Yes.
Right? So, so having an affair is not a basis. So there has to be another.
Yeah,
another
it is
reason.
though a ground for legal separation.
Yes, it is a ground for
but
legal
for
separation.
annulment, you can try. It might be an indication that your wife has psychological incapacity at the time of the marriage. You have to prove that her psychological incapacity was at the time of the marriage. Then it can be a ground for annulment. Yeah.
Great. Okay. All right. We also have received some good feedback from our viewers, like Harold Malagiona. Harold Malagiona, who posted this on our Facebook page. This is the first time I've seen your program. People can learn something from the show about the law. Thank you and more power. Yan.
That's so sweet.
All right.
And we have another one from Romel Milio Reyes, also posted on our Facebook account, saying, this show is worth watching. I learned a lot about laws and regulations. That's really sweet.
That's nice. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those who have shared your comments with us. For those of you out there who appreciate our show, I hope you can also share your comments.
And unfortunately, this is the time I hate most, and this is the time when you have to close. That's all the time that we have for tonight. We would like to thank our guest from PhilHealth, who was with us earlier, Dr. Ish, and of course, former Congressman Natanyada, and to all our viewers who sent us their questions via social media. I'm Attorney Rod Nepomuceno.
And I'm Attorney Karen Jimeno. If you have any questions regarding our topic for today, you may send them via our Facebook or Twitter accounts. Join us again next Monday as we discuss your legal rights. Good night.